We're back. Today is, gosh, what is today? It's Tuesday, man. It's time for Go Talk. Go Talk is on the road today, and we're talking about your first 4 steps to your first Sub2 deal. So hang around. We'll be back in just a second. Morning, guys. Goat Talk is on the road today in Podunk, Oregon. If you don't know where that is, look it up. Jody and I are on our 2024 road trip. We're going to be gone for a few weeks, just traveling around, checking out some things, visiting some folks. And so we're glad to be with you here today. And we appreciate each and every one of you guys that are here with us this morning. If you are here with us, say good morning. Let us know where you are and what's happening. Hey, Mark, what's up, man? Where are you? Where is Mark right now? I hadn't heard from you in a bit. It's good to see you. Guys, we're talking about your first 4 steps to get your first Sub2 deal. If you've been in real estate for a while, maybe you haven't been as successful as you wanted to be. Maybe you've been doing this stuff for a long time and you just haven't found the right, the right groove yet to get a Sub2 deal. We're going to be talking about some different things, maybe some things that need to change before you're actually out there and able to do some stuff. Let's see. Hey, Roland, good to see you. South of New Jersey. Joyce. Hey, Joyce. Bryant, Arkansas. Jen and Brad, good to see you guys. Up in Minnesota, man, we're coming through your state in 2 or 3 weeks. We're going to be driving through there. Derek, again, Minneapolis. Yeah, we got some Minnesota people here today. Mark's back in San Diego, speaking in Nashville. Have not been on Facebook since December. Man, I wish I hadn't been. I'll tell you, we're going to get out of Facebook. Man, that place is nuts. Chris, good to see you out in Arizona. Good to see you guys this morning. So, talking about being on vacation, being able to take a trip, that really doesn't have a deadline. We just said, let's get out of here and let's go visit some people. Let's travel around. We've been gone now for about, not quite a week. And we've gotten 2 houses under contract since we've been gone. Real estate is just amazing. It really is. It's I was having a conversation with my producer this morning before we got started, and it reminded me of a story. When I was in, some of you guys know my backstory. I quit school in the 9th grade. I had an interesting early life and dysfunctional. I don't think would fully explain it, but one of my conversation with my producer this morning brought up an interesting story, something I hadn't thought about in quite a while. But I had a high school guidance. Well, she wasn't high school. She was middle school. This was probably when I was in the 6th or 7th grade. But I missed a lot of school. I couldn't get there because of various reasons. I won't go into all that this morning, but I had a hard time getting to school every day. And I had a guidance counselor actually tell me one day that, basically that I would never amount to much, that a street sweeper couldn't keep a job with the attendance record that I have, and that I had at the time. And I thought about that this morning. I thought, gee, I'm sure that guidance counselor has passed. I mean, this was, gosh, close to 50 years ago, but I don't know. It's just interesting where life takes you. And here we are today on a vacation with no real ending date. So, and business is going on while we're gone. So I guess I did okay. I guess I turned out okay after all. But real estate is really amazing, the things that it can do for you. When I got started in real estate, I had a pretty decent job. I guess it was better than being a street sweeper, but I still worked 70 hours a week and never spent a lot of time with my family. And now, when I quit and went full time in real estate, I hadn't had a vacation in several years. I sell my vacations for extra money. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been in that situation before, but when you work for a company for a while and you accumulate vacation time and some of them give you the option to sell your vacations, and you know that you're, you can get that extra money. And I don't know, that's just a funny place to be, thinking back on where I've been in my life today, and being really grateful for the things that real estate has let us do. So anyway, just reminiscing a little bit. Hope you guys okay out there with that. Let's see. Mark had a comment. Let's see. Have you been following an exercise program? Love hearing that you're on the road again. You know what? Not an exercise program, man. I'm too lazy to exercise, Mark, but I have been trying to do a little bit better, and I've lost about 35 pounds as a result. So I'm pretty happy about that. Anyway, that doesn't have anything to do with the topic today. So let's get started on that. Let's see. We're going to talk about what you need to do to get started and get your first Sub2 deals. And some of this stuff isn't going to be as technical as you might expect. I think just as a start, and this isn't really one of the steps, but are you the right kind of person that people are going to want to work with? What kind of person are you? Because what we do is going to require us to work with people, sellers, obviously. You're going to have to be, a person of integrity, a person that people want to work with, a decent human being is what I usually say. But you're going to have to build a team as well. You're going to have, whether it's title company people, gosh, real estate agents, if you can find an agent out there that you want to work with. I know Joyce is on here today. Joyce does a bang-up job down there in Little Rock. And if you're in the Little Rock area, look up Joyce. She understands creative financing. She can help you out. But you're going to have to build a team. And because of that, you're going to need to be the right kind of person that people want to work with if you want to be successful. Because everything that we do, for example, right now, what we've got going on requires people to do work for us while we're away. We have a title company that's handling closings for us. We have somebody to go by and do repairs on a house that we're selling. We have, real estate people that work with us. So that's all important. And the first thing you need to do is take a look at what you've got going on and say, am I the kind of person that am I going to be able to attract the people that I need to work with me? So that's always good. That kind of reflection is always good. So how do we get started? Guys, if you've got questions about this as we go, put those in the chat. We'll catch those for you. And before we wrap up here today, and questions about anything, we'll try to catch those too as we go. So the first step, in my opinion, if you want to be successful, if you want to get your first deal, is research. Okay. Now, if you're interested in Sub2, you've probably done a little bit of research. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you just heard about it and thought, hey, man, if I can take over mortgages without having to qualify, that's a great thing. But is that necessarily a good fit for you? I don't know. You need to find out about that. Do some research. And if you've narrowed things down just to Sub2, that's okay. But know that there are a lot of ways to handle Sub2 deals. Okay. And Jody and I have done all of this stuff. There's wholesaling, and we've had several conversations about, when I say wholesaling a Sub2, I'm not talking about a simple assignment. And we've got other videos where we talk about that, about how to properly wholesale a Sub2 deal. But Jody and I have done that since we've been in Arkansas. And that's certainly something that you can do if you're not in a position to rehab or to keep properties. Maybe you don't have enough reserves where you feel like you're comfortable keeping a rental, and that's certainly a smart move for you. But of course, then the next step, rehabbing. What is going to be your plan for these deals that you're going to take down Sub2? Okay. Is rehabbing an option for you? Do you have construction experience? If you're broke, do you have the money to rehab a deal where you've taken over the payments? The last house that we took over, Sub2, we rehabbed it, and we've done the last couple that way. Actually, rehab them and list them. So that may be a way that you want to go. But some of this, it's sort of like if you've ever been a painter, and you guys know this if you've ever done this job. to be a good painter, 75% of the work is the prep. It's the background stuff. It's the sanding the surfaces and prepping the walls and the trim and doing the taping and the masking. And then the painting part, the actual painting part goes pretty quickly, but it's all the background stuff. And it's not any different with real estate. If you're not getting traction when you're getting started, it may be because you haven't done some of this background work and part of your research. Do you want to be a landlord? When I got started at 25 years ago this month, I bought my first house in real estate. And I had bought a couple of houses before that, but it was to live in. As far as an investor, that's 25 years ago today. But do you want to be a landlord? Is that something that you have the stomach for? When I got started, I wanted cash flow. That's what I wanted to do. It seemed like wholesaling was a highly paid job, and I already had a decent paying job. I didn't want something that required me to work a lot continuously. I wanted to create some cash flow. And landlording will certainly do that, and it will build wealth over time. But there's a lot to deal with in the meantime, whether it's, tenants with issues or people that don't pay and that sort of thing. So that's always something to consider. But do your research on the back end. Okay. Know where you're going to want to go with these things. Know what your possible exit strategies are. But you can certainly wholesale, rehab, or keep sub-twos as a landlord, or our preferred way, which is seller finance them and create cash flow that way. Okay, so that's step one in your process here. Step two, once you've determined what you want to do, and like I said, if sub-2 is your thing, if that's what you've picked, and this is a big problem for a lot of investors, is not focusing. We pick something. I pick on Jody a lot because of the two of us. Jody wants to do everything she sees. If she here's a good idea, man, she wants to implement that and get that going too, where I'm more of okay, listen, I want to pick something. I want to look at a lot of things. I want to do my research. I want to choose something that sounds really good or attractive to me, that fits for my profile, what I like to do, what I'm comfortable with. And I want to focus on that for a while and a lot. And Jody has more of that squirrel brain that we talk about. Hey, that looks great. Let's do that too. But you have to try to stay away from too much of that. You want to do your research, choose something that you think is going to work well for you, and then commit to focusing on that thing for 90 days. Okay. And I tell every investor that I meet, if you want to do anything, you pick that thing, you learn all that you can learn about it, and then just do that thing for 90 days. And your chances of success are very great for just 90 days. Now, you guys, I bought a Carlton Sheets course, and Carlton Sheets, and you can get those things for about $10 on eBay now. I know Carlton Sheets died, I don't know, several years ago. I don't even think they sell his courses anymore. I think it was the Educational Institute that sold them. But there are a million of them for sale on eBay, and they're like $10. They're very inexpensive. Now, they are 3 miles wide and 1 inch deep. Okay, they're going to expose you to a million ways to do creative real estate. They're not going to tell you a whole bunch about any way, because to do that, it would be 20 volumes and it would be like a congressional bill. And it would be hard to read. It'd be a million pages. But he did give me enough information to buy my first house within 30 days because I took the information and I applied that. So focusing on something that you want to do and then getting out there and taking action on that every single day for 90 days, chances are that you're going to have success with that. But you have to focus. It's hard for us as entrepreneurs to not see good ideas or see something new and go, well, hey, maybe that'll work a little bit better for me. But if you educate yourself on what you pick, and in this case, I'm guessing that's sub-2. If you educate yourself on that completely, learn all that you can about it, and really focus on it for just 90 days, your chances of success will be very good. And in that focus, we need to look at lead generation. What's your best source of lead generation? What do you think will be your best source? And if you guys want to see another video on that, you can check out this video that we're going to have, and we'll have that in the show notes. If you're watching this later, if you're not watching it live, we'll have something up here where you can check it out on the best lead generation sources for beginners. And that'll give you some more details on that. But subscribe to our channel, if you will, too, while you're here. If you're getting value out of this at all, we'd love to have you as a subscriber. The back end of our YouTube channel tells us about 70% of the people that watch our videos aren't subscribers. I can't understand why. I mean, gosh, we release several of them a week. So check it out and subscribe to our channel. But focus and learn everything that you can about the niche that you're interested in. Don't let yourself get distracted. Forget the shiny object stuff. 90 days. Give it 90 days of doing what you've researched, and your chances of success will greatly increase. Along with finding people that do what you want to do. You know, Uncle Fred, who has been working at the paper mill for 50 years, is probably going to tell you real estate is risky. And that's why he's been working at the paper mill for 50 years. He hasn't, you know, he's got a safe, secure job, and that's what he wants to do. Well, we're a little bit different. Entrepreneurs are a little bit different. Don't talk to people that aren't doing what you want to do. Talk to people that are. Talk to people that are successful doing what you want to do. Don't take advice. Don't take financial advice from people who don't have any money. Don't take advice on how to build your business from people who've never built a business. Find the people that are doing what you want to do and try to have as many conversations with them as you possibly can. And once you've done the research, once you know what you want to do, you know all of the possible outcomes, you know the possibilities with that sort of thing, and you focus on something, then you just generate leads. Okay, so from your research, you found all the ways to generate leads, whether you're calling MLS stuff, you're doing direct to seller, you're dealing with agents, direct mail, cold calling, texting. Gosh, there are a million ways to generate leads today. As many as there are right now, we only generate leads 2 ways, and that's radio and door knocking. And I'll tell you, our first year in a market with absolutely no contacts, we knew no one. We rolled into that market. We started running radio ads. We started knocking on doors of people in foreclosure, and we bought a dozen houses. And it really wasn't very difficult to do. And you can do that too in your own market. Find the lead generation stuff that works for you and do it. Now, radio can be pricey. We've talked about radio. We've got videos out there and podcasts that we've done on radio if you're interested in it. It can be pricey, but listen, there is not a better lead to come to you than one where someone picks up the phone and calls you. You're not reaching out to them. You're not interrupting their dinner when you cold call them or text them out of the blue. You're not knocking on their door. They're calling you from something that they've heard. So you talk about a qualified lead. I mean, they really skip to the head of the line. So find your lead generation source that works for you. Door knocking, you can probably pull your leads right from the courthouse. In most places, that won't cost you a dime. And then it's just gas money, driving around, knocking on the doors, having conversations. At our last mastermind meeting, we had a new student there that had only been in the group for 5 or 6 months. She's still relatively new, and she had several houses under contract already from door knocking. So that's how successful you can be with that. But once you've started generating your leads, then your 4th step is really just to have conversations with sellers. Okay, don't be afraid to talk to people. And having that conversation, and we've talked about negotiation before, whatever. Do you need to be a good negotiator? I say no. Most people look at negotiating as really beating someone down on price or trying to steal their house from them. For me, negotiation is really something where both parties benefit from the deal. Nobody feels beat up. If you're a successful negotiator, then that's what you want to be able to do. It's just have a conversation with somebody, find out what their issues are, what their problems are, and how can you solve those problems and still have a profitable deal. So that's really what you want to do. Um, anyway, those are the 4 steps to getting your first Sub2 deal if you're just getting started. If you've been stuck, if you've been unable to make things happen, uh, go back, reset, do these things, follow them for 90 days, and I would almost guarantee you that you're going to get a deal under contract. Having those conversations is what's going to do it. We've got a course to help you, to walk you through step by step with everything in between. That's the Ultimate Sub2 Guidebook. You guys can check that out at sub2deals.com US2. I originally wrote this course after I became successful. We've updated it several times, and it is step by step what we do today to buy as many houses as we want. So you guys check that out and take a look at it. If y'all have any questions, we'll be glad to take those. Michael had a comment on title searches, and I'm not really sure what he meant on that. I'll tell you, and you can fill in the blank for me, Michael, and let me know exactly what you mean. In the meantime, I will say this about title searches. We talk a lot about self-closing Sub2 deals, and we self-close most of the time. We did have a title company do a few of them for us this past year in Arkansas, but they totally bungled everything. And, so we self-close most of the time, but do not buy a house without a title search, and you need to have somebody do that for you. Can you go to the courthouse yourself and do it? Yes, you can. But if you have a good relationship with a title company, like our title company right now, we close all of our deals with them. We close on the sell side when we flip them, and they will do a full title search for us and not charge us a dime. So if you have a relationship with a title company, it can help you out. But I always use one, even if you have to pay for it. Always get a title search every single time. Okay, I think Roland had a question. Got a few sellers relocating. How do I approach them with taking over their payments and when their loan will get paid off? Roland, if they're relocating, remember, you got to have that conversation with that seller first. Okay, they're relocating. What are their plans when they get there? Are they going to rent something? Are they relocating? Are they in the military? I mean, they may be moving again in another 6 months or a year. How's their credit? If they want to buy another house, if that's why they're worried about their loan getting paid off, if their credit's good, if their DTI is good, their debt to income ratios are good, they may be able to buy another house anyway. This is what I tell people, Roland. I try to get their story. Let's say that I've got a seller that's relocating. Maybe they're in the military, let's say in this example, and they have to move in 30 days. I'm going to say, hey, Bob, listen, you don't have much equity in your house. I can't pay cash for it. Cash offer won't make sense for you. But what I can do, if you're interested, is I can make payments for you until I can find someone to buy the house at some point in the future. Now, this will let you get down the road right away. It'll take this debt off of your shoulders right away. It'll let you move on the date that you want to move. Would that work for you? And then if the question that comes back, when will it get paid off? I'm going to say, Bob, the way we do business is we sell houses to people with seller financing that need to repair their credit. They need time to do that. Sometimes it takes a year. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years. And in between that, sometimes people get divorces. They lose jobs. Things happen. I can't guarantee you when the loan will be paid off. All I can guarantee you is an on-time payment until it is. Now, if this works for you, we can do it. If you need a guaranteed date and time when this loan will be paid off, I can't help you. I'm not your buyer. That's the way I do it. And I see a lot of people out there now doing 1-year balloons, 2-year balloons, 3-year balloons. But I'm going to tell you, Roland, that's not a smart thing to do because, as I said, there's no guarantee on this stuff. Things happen. You can put a renter in that house, a tenant. They may tear the house up. You may have to, fix it back up. The buyers, if you sell with seller financing, the buyers that you put in the house may go along great for a year or two, and then one of them loses their job or they get a divorce, life happens. And what if you've got a 2-year, 3-year balloon in that thing and something like that happens and you have to pay it off? Are you going to have the means to pay it off? Are you going to be able to refinance that house? I mean, you made a promise to that seller. How do you handle it? My promise to a seller is on-time payments until the loan is paid off. and that may be in 6 months, and it may be in 30 years. Can't guarantee anything. That's how I do it. So I don't recommend that you put a balloon in anything. I say, what Ron LeGrand always said, balloons are for clowns. So don't do it. I think we had another question. How often do you buy title insurance on a sub-2 deal? Do you ever? Mark, I never, ever buy title insurance. We do most of our closings ourselves. So that right away takes away the ability to get title insurance. But I find that most title companies won't insure a sub-2. They won't cover that loan. And here's what I know, Mark. If 99% of the time when I'm buying a house, actually more than that, closer to 100%, my seller has title insurance because they have institutional financing. So they have title insurance from their purchase back. So really all I have to worry about is from their purchase forward. And a title search will tell me all I need to know about that. So I've got experience with title insurance. I'll tell you, I've bought a bunch of it in the past. And of course, when I was a lender, I made every borrower purchase it. But the one time I had a title insurance claim, it was for less than $40,000. And it took me 3 years and a lawyer to get them to pay out. So I'm not a fan of title insurance. I'm just really not. To me, and I know there are people out there that'll probably say, hey, title insurance saved me when this happened, blah, blah, blah. But to me, title insurance isn't much better than when you go to Walmart and you buy a $5 mixer and they try to sell you a warranty on it. So I'm not interested at all. Okay, Rafe, any opinion on ringless voicemail campaigns? Is it risky? Rafe, it depends on who you talk to. Some people say it'll get you in trouble. Some people say there's a certain way you can do it. We just don't. The only RVMs we use are the ones on our leads that are already in our funnel and already in our CRM. And they've already agreed to let us follow up with them. So they get a mix of emails, text, and RVMs. But otherwise, just to do a campaign of mindlessly calling people that may or may not want to sell their house, I don't recommend it. I don't think it's a good idea. But as the technicalities of it, obviously there's still services out there that offer that sort of thing. So I would think it's not totally illegal, but there are probably a bunch of hoops you have to jump through. I wouldn't do it. I would try to focus on finding people that have problems and need to sell their house. And there are plenty of those people out there, whether they're in foreclosure, they're getting a divorce, they've got title problems, the house is in disrepair, they've got, there are just too many other people out there that have issues. The person's passed, they don't have the money to probate it, and just code enforcement. There are just too many out there right now to target. Okay, Chris, have a question. When finding foreclosure leads, are you targeting houses with a list pendants filed, or only those that have had a sale date set? Chris, in Arkansas, and we're just working locally right now. Now, we have wholesalers send us leads from other states that we look at, but as far as actual marketing, we only market in the state we're in right now. And when that notice of default hits the courthouse, it has a sale date. So that's what we do right now, is we're targeting people that actually have a sale date. And in states like Florida, where things can take a year, and I'm not sure how things are in Arizona, and I'm not sure which state you're talking about, people can just drag their feet. They know they've got a lot of time. So, but we target people that have a sale date. People that have dates already established, they've got a timeline that they're working on. So, and we can use that to say, listen, we've got 3 weeks before this thing goes to the auction. It's time to do something. And we want to help you, but we can't wait till the last minute. So we don't have list pendants. We do see list pendants here filed when people are being sued, but not for the foreclosure. So yes, we go after people that have a sale date. Mark, since you're doing deals in multiple states, are there any states you might not buy or would have a concern? I'm working on a Kentucky lead and never bought there before. For me, Mark, the states that I'm not interested in are going to be, for the most part, anti-landlord states, West Coast, East Coast. Maryland. I mean, I think we've talked about this before. They're generally anti-landlord. Don't they don't like people that own property, that sort of thing. Doesn't matter what your politics are. If they're anti-landlord, and most of those states are blue states, but most of them are West Coast, East Coast, that sort of thing. I don't even look at that stuff. We're gonna be here in Oregon probably for a week or a little more, but I'm not interested. I wouldn't care. Any house here that I saw that might be likely a candidate, I just wouldn't even bother, because man, it's just so rough. So those are my concerns. Kentucky, I know we've had a couple of people in Sub2 Max that were in Kentucky that do very well. So I've never really looked at it, but it must be a decent state. Gosh, I'm trying to remember the last guy that was in the group that was in Kentucky, and he buys a bunch of houses there. So it must be okay, but I've never bought there. So I don't know. Okay, let's see. I know Mark had another comment here. Walmart selling the warranty example compared with a title insurance policy. Yeah. I just think that my experience with them is I've spent a lot of money with it. And one time I had a claim, and it was a small claim. I loaned a gal, it was less than $40,000 to buy a house. We only would lend to investors, no owner occupant stuff. And what did she do? She borrowed the money, she moved into the house, and then a year or so later she quit paying. And when we tried to get her out, it was a problem. And the title search had completely overlooked the security deed. And this was in Georgia. I mean, there it is right out in the open, which, security deed, a mortgage, deed of trust, whatever you call it in any other state. They had just overlooked it. And it was plain and clear that it was their mistake. And they had more twists than a cheap garden hose trying to get out of paying it. And I had to hire a lawyer, and it took 2-3 years to get those. And I just said, listen, I don't want lost interest. I don't want any damages, I just want my principal back. And they finally caved in and said, okay. So small amount of money, man, but they worked really hard to not pay that. And for that reason, I say, gosh, if it had been 300 or 400,000, how hard would they have worked to not pay it? So for that reason, I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan. If you're buying Sub2 and you get a title search from a reputable company, sure, they could probably miss something. But if this guy's only owned the house 2 years, man, I can get online and look at the courthouse records and see what liens have been filed, if any quitclaim deeds have been filed, if anything funny's been going on. There might be a chance that I would overlook something, but knock on wood, okay, in 25 years, I've been really lucky. So anyway, all right. So looks like that covers the questions. Guys, hope this helps. Remember, subscribe to our channel if you will. We'd love to have you. And we're going to get back on the road, and we'll see you guys next week. So y'all get out there, talk to some sellers, and buy some houses. And we'll see you next time.